Sandy, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you? You must be tired.
I'm tired. I came in on a long couple flights the other day, so a little jet lagged, but I'm solid. I'm good.
That's great. Yeah, we had our Unstoppable Women of Web3 and AI brunch this morning. So, of course, there was planning last night and tons of stuff to do. So, I was up at 5.
Yeah, I can imagine, but it went really well. It was very good panel discussion, and really cool to see all the ladies get a chance to talk.
Yeah, it was awesome. We had, CEOs and founders, head of policy, technical PR. I think it was a great mix of women.
Is Unstoppable doing anything else kind of like that while at Permissionless, or was that the only event that you guys were doing?
So that was our Unstoppable Women of Web3 and AI. That was the event we did. And then on Friday for Unstoppable Domains, we have something else that we're working on for our partners. But for the women, that was the event.
Okay, what's the one for the partners? When is that? Where is that?
So that will be Friday we're going to start it off with my panel session. And then we're just going to do in this room, this hospitality suite that we're actually sitting in right now. We're going to have some drinks and some appetizers and just chat with some partners while we're here.
Awesome. Would love to kind of get your take on Unstoppable as well. Obviously, we had I apologize if I forget her name. I got a bunch of names flying through my head. Was it Lisa? Lisa.
Yeah.
She did a really good job breaking down Unstoppable and a lot of things that you guys are working on. But wanted to get your take on it as well, and things that you think are really cool that you guys are doing, and what you think really separates Unstoppable apart from traditional domains, but also anyone else in the space that might be doing something a little bit similar.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that we're doing that's differentiated is our digital identity. And if you think about it as compared to other domain companies, typically they focus on companies. And one of the differences that we do for the blockchain side is we focus on people's digital identity. And I think that's really important. Like today, if you think about .com, you're going to get a company, right? You probably think about Amazon or IBM or permissionless.com. But if you think about like all of the 4 million domains that we've sold through Unstoppable, you think about people. So it's sandy.x or matt.crypto or brandon.lfg. And so you really think about people there. And one of the things that I think is most differentiated about what we do is we're blending together the Web 2 superpowers with Web3. And what do I mean by that? So right now we are tokenizing or placing on-chain .coms. So you could take sandycarter.com and place that on chain if you bought that domain from us. And then that becomes just like a Web3 domain and a Web2 domain. So it has superpowers of both. You can search it, but you can also use it for crypto transactions. On a similar side, for all of the partner branded TLDs and other TLDs we have, we're also working through those to invite them to participate with us in the upcoming ICANN GTLD. And if you don't know, ICANN does DNS. And so those domains obviously are searchable and taggable. And so, what we'd like to do then is bring together those partner branded TLDs too. So then they'll get Web 2 superpowers. Why I think that's so crucial and like a history making moment, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that'll be the first asset that will become an asset, not a Web 2 asset, not a Web 3 asset, but just an asset, just your digital identity that will have superpowers of Web 2 and Web 3. And I think that's pretty historic. I think that's pretty magical to have that happen already as we go after widespread adoption.
Yeah, and I think that's a natural progression too. I mean, domains have been very linear for a long time. It just resolves a single location, website, whatever you want it to be, but it doesn't have a more dynamic functionality to it where there's payments, there's identity, there's assets, there's other things you can potentially do with it. So I really like what you guys are doing with Unstoppable. I think it's an important part of taking the internet from Web 2 to Web 3 and making that transition.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, the other thing is that now that we have a fair number of Web 2 folks, when you do own an asset that's on chain, typically today you store it in a wallet. And if you think about all the wallet experiences, all of them, even the very best ones, are a little bit hard for Web 2 users, right? Like keys, like what are keys? And so what we've also tried to do is introduce a wallet. It's called the Light Wallet because it's really specifically made for Web 2 users to store their digital assets, their domains. And so making that super easy, again, I think is trying to bridge the gap, right? Instead of having Web2 folks come to us, we want to go to them. We want to meet them where they are and make it really simple. So we use terminology that they're used to, like a password and here's how you do recovery, instead of using the Web3 language, if you would.
What do you think is the key to getting some of these legacy Web 2 companies to start kind of jumping over into this space and maybe making these changes like in domains, for example? Like, do you guys have partnerships there? Are you working with anyone that's well known maybe in the legacy Web 2 world, helping them kind of transition?
So we do have a couple of partners in that space. So for example, Dot Austin. That's with the city of Austin. And they're trying to bring this new innovation to their citizens. And of course, Austin is such an innovative, it's one of my favorite cities, very innovative city. Pog, the Pogs, I don't know if you ever played with those little chips. They were all physical, like the Pog chips were the thing. Now they're going digital and they're doing it with a dot Pog and, leveraging that wallet capability. And that's like 150 million users across multiple countries. So I think those are really fascinating and interesting for what we're working on. And then if you think about Web2, one of my very favorites is with a company called FarmScent, and they are working with farmers, and they're creating a marketplace for farmers to be able to sell their goods to people who buy coffee or buy wheat. And part of the value prop is that if you get paid in crypto, you get the money instantly. You don't have to go through a broker. There's no fees taking off. You're not waiting like 60, 90, 80 days. And so that's another one of our really successful partnerships. We have a dot farms where farmers can use that. And I love it because it's such a great use case, right? Where you're using a dot farms to get your money. It's just such a nice use case. And these farmers, when you talk to them, they're completely non-technical, right? Because they're farmers. And so, and this allows them to get paid faster because their margins are low. So it matters. Like 60 days is important, right? Being able to get that money instantly is something that of great value.
That's awesome. And I know in Texas too, they've become quite a bastion for, allowing Web3 startups to try new things and do stuff there. So, do you see a lot of that stuff starting to happen like within certain states as well, like any certain jurisdictions in the US that are maybe more exciting than others? I know Florida's another. What's kind of on the radar?
Well, it's interesting because I was just in New York City with a bunch of Web3 healthcare startups, which I'm very passionate about. Of course, Miami is a hotbed. They've got so many crypto companies. Many of our partners, like Pudgy Penguins, is there, and Crypto Tech Women is there. And then, of course, California. They're one of the first to talk about putting car titles on chain, which I think is fascinating. And I just met with a company, they're called Champs, and they're doing car titles now for New Jersey, West Virginia. Fascinating, right? And they're tokenizing those and putting them on chain. And the reason is not for an individual like you and I, but for a broker to be able to sell, 100 cars and to get those out the door. Doing that digitally is so much faster. So we're starting to see movement. I think I would say probably California, Texas, of course, New York, and now New Jersey and Miami. Like those are, I think, the big hotbeds today.
And then here at Permissionless, what's a goal that you have while you're here? Also, for yourself too, but also for Unstoppable. Like, do you want to find more partners, more people to work with? Are you just networking? What's kind of the overarching purpose for Permissionless?
So our big goal here, the first one is to meet hopefully potential partners and to help them with value for their users, but also to learn. We want to be a fast learning company. And as you meet new partners and new people, you always learn something from each person, right? I mean, think about the breakfast this morning. I talked to dozens of women, and each one brought something interesting. One woman down there was from the World Bank, and she was talking about how the World Bank is looking at blockchain. One woman was down there, she's working on using AI in healthcare. I thought that was fascinating. So every single person that you meet, you learn something from. And for me, coming from Amazon Web Services, you have this continuous learning culture. And so I think that's the other one, is that our organization can learn as they go to these sessions and meet with partners as well.
Awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy the time here at Permissionless and you find it to be a very fruitful experience and you get to meet some of those potential partners. Where can people go if they want to learn more about Unstoppable? They want to get their own domain. They want to start playing around with it. Should they just go to the website? Would you send them to any documentation first or to socials, or do you guys have community, or where would you send people?
Yeah, so we have, well, of course, we're really active on Twitter, but we're Unstoppable Web, not Unstoppable Domains. That's another company online. But on our website is unstoppabledomains.com to go and buy a website. And then we're super active on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then, of course, X or Twitter. I would say if you're interested in Unstoppable Women of Web3 and AI, we have a, a great site. It's called unstoppablewow3.com. You can go there and you can get free education, digital identity, blockchain, artificial intelligence. I mean, you name it. It's a great place to go and get free education that's done by quality companies. I have over 210 companies that have offered education and are part of the initiative. So that would be where I would send people.
Awesome. And then last question. Obviously, we went to the brunch before this and had a huge focus on women in Web3. What would you say to women out there that maybe are considering the space, that might feel that it's not for them, or might feel demonized from being a part of it a little bit? Obviously, the space predominantly in the past has been mostly men. It's awesome to see women incorporated more into it, and I hope that continues to grow and diversify. But to any women out there that are listening or watching this, what would you say to them?
I would say, come to one of the events, and I call it Playstorm, not Brainstorm, where you can come and get your hands dirty, buy a domain, get a wallet. I'm happy to help you out, or go to unstoppablewow3.com. But experience it, because, blockchain and AI, I think, are really the future of the internet. So by getting in early, getting in with these emerging tech, you can be part of the great innovative future. So don't be afraid, jump in now and get started.
Awesome, Sandy. Thank you so much, and hope to see you around the event. I'm assuming you'll be here the full time, so maybe our paths will cross again.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time.
Likewise.